Welcome to Prescribed Vibes, where we explore all things mental health, personal growth, and the journey to living your best life. I'm Stephanie, and I'm here with my amazing co-host, Sierra.
Hey everybody, we're so glad you're tuning in again. Today we're diving into one of the most talked about topics at this time of year, goal setting and finding the motivation to stick with those goals. Hopefully we're catching you guys right as that steam is running out and you need a little boost to get back into following through with those New Year's resolutions.
Absolutely. Whether it's New Year's resolutions or your career aspirations, personal growth goals, we all know that setting them is the easy part, right? The challenge is following through, continuing the hustle. That's what we're going to talk about today.
Exactly. So we'll talk about why goal setting is so important, how to set goals that actually work, and ways to stay motivated even when things are getting tough.
So let's start with why is goal setting so important? Goals give us direction and purpose. Personally, it makes me feel super energized. Without them, we can feel like we're just drifting through life, right? So just going through the motions, and goal setting really gives us that purpose, helps us identify with our values, and we're going to get all into that.
Exactly, and research backs this up. Studies show that people who set specific goals are more likely to achieve success because they have a clear target to aim for. A lot of us, if we're not really aware of or intentional about our goals, we kind of feel like you said, we're drifting through life. I'm purposeless and I'm directionless, and that never feels good for us. And so it's like using a GPS. If you don't know where you're going, how will you know when you get there?
That's a great analogy. So goals really help us to stay focused. When we know what we're working toward, it's easier to say no to distractions or things that don't align with our priorities. And for some of us, saying no is difficult if we don't focus on that why. Why are my goals important? What's behind it? What's the motivation? What is this going to do for me?
And let's not forget the confidence boost we get. So achieving even a small goal can create a sense of accomplishment and build momentum for tackling bigger ones. And so even just building on your confidence, your esteem, feeling like, I'm going to out myself here a little bit, but feeling like we've accomplished something can motivate us to do more, to where sometimes I'll write down something I already did on my to-do list just so that I can cross it off.
Yeah, I love that. I do that too. It feels so good.
Yeah.
Done. Check. Did this. Let's go to the next
Let me
thing.
give myself the credit for that thing. I did it. I need the tangible, the visual aspect of completing that task, and that boosts me to do something else.
I can relate to that. So let's talk about how setting these goals actually work. And a lot of you have heard of SMART goals. So let's define what that means. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And we talk about this a lot in therapy with clients coming in with their presenting problems and the goals they want to achieve. So keep that word in mind, SMART goals.
Yep, always love a good acronym. Big fan. But for example, instead of saying, I want to get healthier, you could say, I'm going to exercise 3 times a week for 30 minutes each session. And then it's clear and it's measurable, it's realistic. I know, right, I'm going to get healthier is such an arbitrary, vast goal that could mean 8 billion different things, and it's going to be unique to you. But, okay, well, what does getting healthier mean to me? Well, I think it starts with going to the gym 3 days a week for 30 minutes at a time. I'm going to start there.
Right. Another key is breaking those big goals into smaller, manageable steps. So just as Sierra was saying, if it's going to the gym or if it's even saving money, let's say that you have a goal of saving $10,000 this year, break it down into very monthly saving goals. That way it feels less overwhelming and you get to feel those wins, right? So you don't want to do something super big and then not have it be realistic for yourself. So just keep that in mind, breaking it down into smaller steps.
Yeah, know yourself. And don't forget to write your goals down. Studies show that writing down your goals makes you 42% more likely to achieve them. What an easy hack.
Yeah. And just like I was talking about earlier about your values, make sure to keep that in mind that your goals are aligning with your values. If you're trying to achieve something that doesn't really matter to you, it's going to be so much harder to stay motivated. And that may require you to do an exercise on what are my values.
Yeah, very true. Ask yourself, why does this matter to me? What's the deeper purpose behind it? What do I want my life to look like, and how does that contribute to that? And start to imagine your life once you've accomplished those goals. I think that can be motivating. But if your goal is to learn a new skill, maybe it's not just about the skill itself, but building the confidence or creating a new career opportunity. There's a deeper meaning to those goals for us. So let's make sure we're very familiar with ourselves and why these things are important for us to achieve.
And, speaking of creating, you can even create a vision board, have that visual representation of what your goals can help keep you inspired. So whether it's pictures, I love quotes, or reminders of what you're working towards, putting it on your fridge, creating a frame for it, something where you'll see it every day in your car, seeing those visuals daily can make a really big difference.
Yeah, let's talk about the importance of setting both short-term and long-term goals. Short-term goals are like stepping stones that lead you to the bigger picture and the bigger goals that you have. So for example, if your long-term goal is to write a book, then maybe your short-term goal is to make sure that you write one chapter every month. Determine your timeline and make it make sense for you, but break it down into tangible, bite-sized pieces so that it doesn't feel so overwhelming and you're more likely to stay motivated toward that goal. It's not going to defeat you. You're going to defeat it.
And I know that I just added the tip on the vision board, but another great tool is reading Atomic Habits. There's some really great tips there and best practices on goal setting and having those habits. It's really important to set goals in different areas of your life. It's not to say that if you just want one goal in professional, that's not okay, but keeping in mind that balance of personal, professional, relational. For example, you might have a goal to advance in your career, but also set a goal to spend more quality time with your family or prioritizing self-care, because when you set a goal, let's say in your career, you want to make sure that you're not neglecting self-care, because then that may fall through the cracks. So keep that in mind, that balance.
I'm so glad that you said that. That's something I've noticed a lot in the last few years working with people pretty closely, is that we can almost have tunnel vision as far as what our goals are to be career oriented. Maybe we've been in school our whole life, or we've been working up in the ranks at our job, and once we get our degree and we get that dream job, or we've worked up to the position that we wanted and we hit the ceiling, and then we're like so uncomfortable because what is life now? What do I have to work toward? And I have to kind of remind people, your career isn't the only aspect of your life. There's other things we can be focusing on and trying to accomplish, other facets of our life. And so broadening that tunnel vision to know that I'm more than just my job, or maybe wherever your focus tends to be with your goals, and know that goals can be related to so many different areas of our life. But building accountability in your goal setting process, share your goals with someone you trust, whether it's a friend, a partner, a coach, a therapist. Knowing that someone else is rooting for you, checking in on you, holding you accountable, keeping you on track. Accountability buddies, we like to call them.
I like that. And, while we're on that topic of accountability, I have to remind myself to set deadlines, because if we don't have those deadlines, we can tend to drift. So create a timeline for yourself, even if it's a loose one. Having a target date can create a sense of urgency and purpose. And making sure that deadline is realistic, of course. So, if you're looking at losing weight, making sure you're not setting yourself up for failure of, I'm going to lose 10 pounds in a week. And it may take, talking to other professionals about it, especially if it's something outside of what you're used to. If this is a big goal or you need extra resources, keep that in mind as well.
Yep. And make sure to frequently revisit and reevaluate your goals. Life changes, and so do our priorities. And so if something is no longer serving you, doesn't align with where you're going anymore, it's okay to make an adjustment to that goal or even let it go completely, which that can be tough to come to terms with, but if it's not serving you, it's not serving you.
I've been so guilty of that, of being rigid sometimes with my goals, or I've created this, so now I'm not letting it go. I've built it, whether it's career or relationships. Oh, I've invested so much time in this relationship or with this friendship. And sometimes it's okay to let go or reevaluate and take a step back. It's such a good reminder that you said that. And finally, don't forget to give yourself that grace. Goals aren't about perfection. Just like Sierra said, it's okay to reevaluate and make sure it aligns with where you're headed. It's about progress, celebrating your effort, even if things don't go exactly as planned. Hey, at least you tried it, right? It's not just about, I'm going to execute this and make it work no matter what sacrifices I need to make.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that. And the word rigid, right? Being rigid in those things. Well, I have to accomplish this because that's what I set my mind out to do. But again, evaluating, does it still make sense for me? Or am I just holding on to it because that's what I decided for myself as a version of me who's no longer relevant in this moment? Being very careful, right? Giving yourself that grace, like you said. You cannot bully yourself into accomplishing what you're trying to accomplish. You've got to love yourself through it. And that can be tough for us sometimes, right? We're used to coaches and parents and whoever else, maybe their voices in our mind telling us, you got to do it or else. We kind of instill that within ourselves. And so to know, like, that's not inspiring, it's not motivating. And so be kind to yourself, be your own cheerleader. That's really what we need, someone to inspire and motivate us, and that person being ourselves often.
I was going to say, I was about to sum up this part of the podcast, but before summing up, I want to make sure that our listeners understand that we're not trying to talk to you about how to do this, because this is just as much for us and a reminder for ourselves. Both Sierra and I need this. This podcast is a big outlet for us as well. So I hope it doesn't come across as we're telling you how to set up goals. And this is just as much for us, and it's so helpful for us to have these reminders as we talk about it. To sum it up, be specific, align your goals with your values, break them into smaller steps, hold yourself accountable, and stay flexible. That's the recipe for success in this area.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. Let's move on to staying motivated, because even with great goals, it's not always easy to keep going.
Right. So you set your goals, and now how do we stay motivated? Because let's be real, there will be days when you don't feel like doing the work, and that's normal. It happens to all of us.
Yep. One thing that helps is celebrating the small wins. Writing that thing on your to-do list just to cross it off, to know you did it. Each time you hit a milestone, acknowledge it. Keep the momentum going. I think we can get so stuck in keeping our head down and trying to trudge toward the goal that we forget to look around and notice our progress or give ourselves credit for what we have accomplished. It's a journey, and so stop and smell the roses sometimes.
Yep. And just like we talked about earlier, the strategy of having that accountability, sharing your goals with someone who can support you and ask you, how is that goal going? How is that coming along, going to the gym? Whether it's a partner, friend, or even a therapist, sharing it out loud to someone that you can trust and that will follow up with you.
And like we said, don't forget to be flexible. Life happens. Sometimes you need to adjust those goals. Doesn't mean you failed. It just means you're adapting. One of my favorite mantras is, if I failed, I'm just not done yet.
I love that. So speaking of that, we would like to get into discipline, because motivation isn't always going to be there. Motivation can be pretty unreliable. Motivation's great for getting started, but discipline is what carries you through.
Yeah, absolutely. Motivation can come and go, but discipline is about making a commitment to yourself, doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. A lot of people wait to feel inspired or to want to do the thing, but discipline doesn't rely on feelings. It relies on habits and consistency, and your goal doesn't really care if you feel like it today.
That is so true. So I was thinking of an example of, let's say your goal is to work out 3 times a week. There's going to be days when you don't feel like it at all. I know that happens to me. And discipline is putting on your workout clothes and showing up anyway, even if it's not your best workout. You've kept your promise to yourself, and that's what matters. So for me, it's like, I don't care about my mood. I don't care about my feelings. I can take that feeling and those in the mood with me. I'm still going to go ahead and follow through with doing it, because I can feel frustrated while I'm working out. And we've covered this in another episode where I felt like, oh, I hate this. And then all of a sudden this song comes up and my thoughts change into the whatever song and the lyrics. And now all of a sudden I'm into it, right? So it doesn't matter. Discipline is about doing it anyway.
Yep. And when you focus on discipline, it actually builds confidence. Every time you follow through on something you said you'd do, you're reinforcing the belief that you're capable and reliable, and you start to see that, oh, it doesn't matter if I feel like it or not. I can do it. I can do hard things.
I've read that on a post where I can do hard things. And even my therapist has said, hey, you can manage that emotion. You got this. So another great way to build discipline is to create routines. When you have a routine in place, and I love routine and structure, it really reduces the mental energy required to make those decisions. So for example, if you always write in the morning at 7 a.m., it becomes automatic, right? So for me, it's my cup of coffee. You don't have to think about it when or if you'll do it. It's just part of your day, like brushing your teeth. Just do it, right? So it may require you to look at some of your habits and staggering another habit right after it. And that's something you could also learn from that book. I recommended Atomic Habits.
Love that. Another tip is to eliminate excuses. If you know that your weakness is scrolling on your phone, set limits on your phone or put it in another room when you're trying to focus. If you know that gummy worms are your weakness, don't keep them in the cabinet. If you know that not having your coffee in the morning makes you more irritable and you're working on being a more go-with-the-flow friendly person, drink your coffee in the morning. Like, set yourself up for success.
That, and also don't forget that discipline is a muscle. So we talked a little bit about that in our last episode, neuroplasticity. The more you practice it, the stronger it gets. Start small. If you're not used to being disciplined, don't overwhelm yourself with huge commitments. Begin with something manageable, like drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning or spending 5 minutes meditating.
Yep, and don't underestimate the power of momentum. Once you're disciplined about one small habit, it can spill over into other areas of your life. Sticking to a bedtime routine might make it easier to wake up early and get things done.
And here's also an important mindset shift that has helped me is discipline isn't about being harsh or punishing yourself. It's actually a form of self-care. You're prioritizing your goals and values because they matter to you, and look at discipline as a way of self-respect and commitment, because all about you and that self-love that you have.
Such a good point. Discipline's about creating the life that you want, not restricting yourself. It's a way to honor your commitments to yourself and show up as the person you want to be. And that can be hard to see in the moment because I want to do the fun thing. I want to throw caution to the wind, but tomorrow you has to answer for that and your goals have to answer for that. So be mindful.
Totally. I actually heard this video. I can't remember the name of the athlete, but she was talking about how discipline is freedom and you will pay the consequence if you aren't disciplined. So if you're struggling to stay motivated, focus on building discipline instead. Motivation is temporary, but discipline is lasting. It's that bridge between setting a goal and achieving it.
Absolutely. Remember, even disciplined people have days off. The key is to not let one bad day derail your progress. Get back on track and keep going. I always say, just because on day 14 you messed it up, you didn't do what you were supposed to do, the next day isn't back to day 1. It's still day 15. Keep going.
Progress over perfection always. Now, let's dive into some listener questions because we know staying motivated and disciplined isn't always easy. And we love hearing from you. And we do have one listener question right now. Our first question is from Ashley, who's asking, What do I do if I lose motivation halfway through working towards a goal?
Great question, Ashley. It's normal to hit a slump. One thing you can do is revisit your why and remind yourself of the bigger picture. I would also say, too, to just assess for what are some of the barriers? What am I running into that are maybe deterring me or distracting me from staying motivated toward this goal? And do some work around that. Remove the obstacles in your way.
And you can also try switching things up. If your routine feels stale, find a new way to approach your goal. Don't be afraid to take a short break or recharge. You're not starting over, you're just resetting. So, for example, I really enjoy working out most days, but I get into cardio and then I get bored, and now I'm trying to focus on weight training and weightlifting and changing it up because, hey, you're still going to reach your goal, right? It's all about staying healthy and fit. And if it's not cardio, it can be hiking, it can be lifting weights, it can be totally something different so that I don't get bored, but I'm still reaching that goal.
Yeah, think outside the box. All right, our next question is from Kevin. How do I balance multiple goals without getting overwhelmed?
Ooh, that's a great one. That's a common challenge, Kevin. That's definitely something I'm working on, and it's prioritizing your goals. So oftentimes I have to ask myself, which one is the priority right now? Or focus on one or two at a time instead of trying to do everything at once, because you don't want to add too much to your plate and then it defeats the whole purpose, right?
Yeah, it feels like sequencing for me. And so it's like, okay, yes, I have all of these goals, but I can't do it all at once. And so which one makes the most sense? Do I want to start with the one that's going to take the least amount of time to get that out of the way? Do I want to start with the one that's going to make the most impact on my life? Prioritize those goals. Use time blocking. That's the other thing we can do. So dedicating specific time slots to different goals. If it helps you stay organized and helps you to tend to different goals at the same time, schedule it into your day in a way that makes sense for you. Reduce the feeling of overwhelm that you get trying to do it all at once.
And speaking of that time blocking, we have so many great tools accessible to us, especially with our smartphones, that there's really no reason why we can't use, like you said, the calendar or different apps to send us reminders. And there's so many great AI features now that there's no reason why we can't achieve the goals that we have set for ourselves. So I think this has been such a great conversation. I hope our responses have been helpful to Ashley and Kevin. Goal setting and motivation are essential skills, but just keep in mind that it does take practice and patience.
Absolutely. Remember, progress is more important than perfection. Celebrate your wins, learn from your setbacks, and keep moving forward.
So, with that said, thank you so much for tuning into Prescribed Vibes. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, share it with someone who could use a little inspiration. We're also open to feedback at any time.
Yes, and if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay inspired, stay motivated, and take care of yourself.
And you got this. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, guys.